I just want to preface this by saying that I promise after today, well, this is the last time you'll see this shirt, because I did film the Stieg Larsson author discussion and the previous 2 Chad Kultgen book reviews all back to back to back to back. So you'll stop seeing this shirt now, I promise. Anyway, on to today's discussion of Men, Women, and Children by Chad Kultgen. This is now a major motion picture, as this thing tells you right here at the bottom. See, it tells you right there. Now a major motion picture. And it has Ansel Elgort, Adam Sandler, and I think Jennifer Garner is also in it, unless that was a different trailer, and it wasn't for this. But it is now a major motion picture, and that's the only reason that I picked up this book and the other 2 Chad Kultgen books, because this movie looked really good and I wanted to read it. So, that being said, the first thing I want to say about this is I was really happy to see that the misogyny was toned down for men, women, and children, because it was strong in The Lie and it was strong in The Average American Male. In this one, not so much. I felt that the characters in this one were much more well-rounded, even though at the end of the day, I still think that Chad has the same problem of not knowing how to finish a story satisfactory, or, in a satisfactory fashion, because I did still think that this had a terrible, terrible ending, and that's all I have to say about the ending. It was just unsatisfactory in most regards. It was a little better than The Average American Male in The Lie, but at the end of the day, it was still, characters were still doing things that I didn't think they would do. It just felt like that. For the other, 98% of the novel that wasn't the end, it was a very, and it made me ask questions about, it made me question things, I felt. So on that regard, it was really good. And the writing I think in his books it's always engaging, it's always good to read, I think, personally. It works for me. So I never have any qualms about, the writing quality. I always think it's very engaging and interesting, and that's all I have to say. So, now we're moving on to spoilers. So, if you haven't read this book, or I guess if you haven't seen the movie, then you probably want to leave. I haven't watched the movie, so I don't know, what would be a spoiler and what wouldn't be, or, the differences between the two, because I haven't watched it yet, even though I only purchased this book to see the movie. But, I'm going to go on to the spoilers now. So, the things that I didn't like about this book that I want to discuss first, we're going to go to the end. We're going to talk about the end first, because there's several things at the end that I didn't appreciate. I didn't like how Rachel Truby, I didn't understand how she would be that careless about her affair, leaving the website open. Because this woman is not stupid. She's not stupid, and her husband, Don, I think is his name, neither of them are stupid. These are characters who have separate credit cards, so so their spouse doesn't realize they're having an affair. Both of them have, but then, at the very end of the novel, she just forgets to, log out of her Ashley Madison account and leave the email open, displaying where, what hotel she's going to be at what time. Really? And then forget to click a button. I thought that was stupid, and I couldn't get behind that this character would actually behave in that fashion. Then, I didn't like how Heather's mother, Dawn, I think was her name, Dawn Clint, I didn't like how, at the end, that's when she realized that the website she had for her daughter was probably a bad idea and take it down. That's when you take it down. I felt that was really stupid, especially because the entire novel, most of the portions involving Dawn Clint were her questioning whether she should have this website in the first place, and so it wasn't until the very end that she decided to take it down. And then, I forget her name, but the one character who had the MySpace account under Freya, I forget what her actual name was. I remember I really liked her character, though, but I didn't understand how, at the very end of the book, that's when her mom finds out about that MySpace account. Really? Really? At the very end of the book? I feel like everything that, like, at the end of Chad's books, things happen that are convenient to, like, end things, but that don't make sense for the characters to actually do. He had the same problem in The Lie, and he didn't fix it in Men, Women, and Children. I think the only thing in this book that he fixed in his previous books was, like, the misogynistic tones of his male characters, and here, it's pretty much, I like to think, that it's erased, or if it is there, then it's not as, like, slamming into you as in the other two books. I feel that this one is much more accessible, and it's much more not offensive to read. Although, if you aren't comfortable reading about middle school children having sex and talking about sex, this probably isn't the book for you. I didn't think I was going to be as, like, disturbed is too strong a word, but I didn't think it would be as weird to read about as it turned out to be, and I found myself wanting those scenes to be done with really quickly, but, you know, that was the point of the book, I think, was to talk about, you know, men, women, and children and their sexual, you know, I don't want to, like, I don't know how to frame it, but that, you know, that was the purpose of the book, and so in that regard, it achieved its purpose. As far as the middle school characters, I found myself really enjoying each and every one of them. I really liked Tim. Tim was probably my favorite character, and I felt that Tim had, like, the worst part at the end of the book. When Tim slit his wrists, I felt that it should have been more of, like, an emotional impact than it actually turned out to be for me. I found myself really just angry at his father, Kent, because I just felt that I just felt that the whole thing was entirely avoidable, because I felt that Kent was angry for things that he didn't need to be angry about in the first place, and so I was more annoyed at his father than I was saddened by the fact that Tim had tried to kill himself. And then I was even more annoyed because that happened, and then talked about, you know, Tim being okay, and then we never got to see him again because it was at the end of the book, because Chad, I feel, rushes his endings, and so I don't really feel like I had proper closure, especially for something like that. And another issue that I had with this book was the character of Hannah. I think is it Hannah? Well, Hannah, no, I had issues with parts of her, but not as much as I did with the anorexic girl, who I can't remember the name of. And let me see if I can find it briefly. What was her? Brandy. Is it Brandy? I don't think it was Brandy. I think Brandy is the other person. Brooke? Or is it Allison? I think it's Allison. Allison annoyed me in this book so much. And I'm not sure if she annoyed me so much as her, because she felt like a real character, and I felt like well, not a real character, like a real person. I feel like a person in her position, like, going through the things that she was going through, probably would have acted the same. But for me, it just really bothered me that she was doing these things, and I feel that she should have been the one to go see the therapist, and not Tim, because I think Allison really had some issues that needed to be addressed, and they weren't addressed, and so that made me really upset for her, like, upset that, you know, she didn't get the help that she needed, but at the end of the day, because she didn't get the help that she needed, it was just annoying. And I don't want to say that it was annoying because I feel sort of bad, because she not only was anorexic, she was also bulimic, and then she had a miscarriage, and she was having sex with, like, this high school senior dude, and all of it was just uncomfortable for me, and I do feel a little bad saying that she was annoying, but I really don't know, I'm lacking the vocabulary to better vocalize my feelings for her. So, but at the end of the day, Men, Women, and Children was definitely an engaging book. It's probably my favorite book by Chad Kultgen, even though I really felt that the ending was lacking in some pretty severe ways. So, but if you had to pick up a Chad Kultgen book, I would recommend Men, Women, and Children to be your first, because I think that you get a better view of him as an author without being like slammed into his like misogynistic writings that were in The Lie and The Average American Male. So I feel like this is a much more, like I said earlier in my review, it's much more accessible, and it's less problematic, I think, than his other than The Lie and The Average American Male. So that's what I have to say on this book. If you've seen the movie or read the book and you have something to add, feel free to tell me in the comment section down below. And, or I guess if you're on mobile, it might be on the side of the video. But, who cares? Like I said, leave comments if you have comments. Leave a like if you liked it. And, yeah, until next time, guys, bye.